So recently Corsair teased across social media that they are going to be bringing out a new AIO. It's basically the same as this, but with an LCD screen. So it's going to be called the H170i Elite LCD, which kind of makes sense. Every other brand has got something with an LCD screen on there. We've got the ones from Asus, we've got the ones from NZXT. So Corsair maybe are a little bit kind of late to the party, but they've kind of actually been a little bit snidey about this whole thing, but in a very, very good way. You got to remember, lots of people have bought this cooler or other coolers from Corsair in the Elite Capellix range, and now they've brought out this new product with an LCD screen. Well, how's that going to make you feel? Luckily, you can upgrade your existing one using the Elite LCD upgrade kit. Let's do this. I wish these files would transfer faster. Come on! Whoa, is that the FireCuda 510 NVMe drive with its blistering fast speeds of 3450 megabytes a second read, 3200 megabytes a second write, and capacities of up to 2 terabyte? I can have these files transferred in no time. And if I'm looking for the ultimate performance, I could even get the 4th generation FireCuda 520. I better check the link in the description to find out more details. So first things first, we have the Elite LCD upgrade kit, and we will get to that. But first, let's take a look at the Elite Capellix, which we've kind of all seen before, but I want to get it out so that you guys, maybe who haven't seen it, can get a better idea as to what it's all about. Now, with the new coolers that Corsair are bringing out, the LCD versions, there are a few little differences. In terms of the pump itself and the radiator, it's exactly the same on this version and the LCD version. When it comes to the fans, they are ever so slightly different. So this particular cooler, which as I mentioned is the H170i Elite Capellix, comes with the ML fans. They are frankly amazing. So they have, I guess, probably one of the strongest lighting profiles that I've seen in kind of a fan in this day and age, as well as having the performance to boot, along with, you know, being able to push through mass amounts of airflow while also remaining fairly quiet. With the new version, the LCD version, they have actually upgraded the fans to what they're calling the ML Elite. So slightly better on the performance, slightly quieter when it comes to the loudness and the noise level, as well as, you know, sort of strengthening upon that whole lighting aspect of things. Now, what we've actually got here is, with the Elite Capellix, you do get some added extras, which mainly comes down to the hub. So with the hub, obviously you can plug everything into there and away you go. So what I actually want to do is show you guys kind of what you'd get if you have a H170i Elite Capellix or any of the other Elite Capellix range, what it's actually going to look like from the get-go, because maybe you haven't actually seen exactly how good this can look. And then what we can do is look at putting the LCD upgrade kit on top and sort of showing you how easy it is, what it's actually going to give you in terms of functionality, and away you go. So first things first, you're going to notice I actually changed the GPU. For some reason, I picked up the closest one to me, which happened to be a blower style one. And well, you wouldn't be hearing me in the same capacity through the microphone right now. So we changed over to a passive one. Now, what I wanted to show you is the H170i Elite Capellix, or any of the Elite Capellix range. This is how it's going to look. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Capellix is basically a brand and a technology that Corsair bought, it's got to be about 5 years ago now. And they started basically using the LEDs, the Capellix LEDs, on various different products. I think their first one was actually the Dominator Platinum RGB memory. So it was basically a lot smaller, so the heat spreaders didn't need to be huge in size. It was a lot brighter, it used less energy. It was basically a win-win-win, and it was a really good decision from Corsair to actually, you know, utilize this technology and this branding's products across various different products. So they actually brought it to the AIO market. If I take this off, you'll see straight away, it's very, very bright. It's very vibrant. It doesn't bleed into sort of each color, and it just allows, I guess the main part of being a Capellix cooler is the fact that this block isn't this big. Whereas normally with this kind of brightness of LEDs and things like that, you're going to notice that the block's going to be a lot bigger because it has to house them LEDs. This is a lot different. So this is what you'd get if you bought an Elite Capellix AIO from Corsair. The problem is, you're sitting there thinking, this is great, but I want this LCD screen on there. So how difficult is it to actually upgrade? Now, I did mention at the start of this video, Corsair have been a little bit sneaky, a little bit snidey, but I kind of like that because they've done it in such a way that this was always going to be coming. The fact that it already has, I guess, the way of connecting this into that from the get-go, before this was even kind of, you know, a product, it's, let's call it a two-prong approach. They basically built the Elite Capellix with the future-proof ability, it's a word, that is going to accept this, because they knew that people were going to be buying this particular product and potentially would want to be moving over to this. And I actually spoke to Corsair before we started filming this video, and I did say to them about, you know, what kind of feedback have you been getting, because they have put some teasers out there that, you know, this is here, this is coming. And a lot of people did actually mention, it's really annoying, I just bought an Elite Capellix, now you've brought this out. This is ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. And I get that. People do get butthurt because they want the very latest. And it's always going to be a bit of a sore subject when they kind of turn around and sort of look at it of, well, you know, I feel like I've been hard done by because I bought this product thinking it was the newest, the best thing. Because the Elite Capellix range of coolers, especially this one, the H170i, haven't exactly been around for monumental amounts of time. So it's not exactly an old product. And from what I can tell, it's going to remain an existing product. So there will be, I guess, the LCD version as well as the non-LCD version. So different products for different price points for different users. And again, I kind of like the fact that they've done that. You know, they're not the first to have done it. There are other brands out there who have these products, whether it be the LCD version or the non-LCD version. But as far as I know, there's no one who are actually doing this with an upgrade kit. So this is the actual, I guess, module itself, the LCD screen. So as we can see, it's quite a large screen. I can't even remember how big this is, but it's, I think it's a couple of inches, 2.1 inch. Yeah, so it's 2.1 inch LCD IPS display. And basically when you look at this, it has got a little connector on the inside. And I'm guessing once I take off the top of this block, this is just gonna literally slot in there. It's gonna screw in, or it might even use magnets by the looks of it, and away you go. Then you do also get a couple of cables coming off of it. One for USB, which is exactly the same as what we have here, connected up through our core Commander Pro, which goes into the motherboard. There is also a 3-pin, which is going to be for the sort of pump side of things. So you've got, and then the other connector for the Commander Pro. So you've got everything connected there. Then we also have another connector, which again is USB, but has some weird connectors on there. So I'm not even sure quite what this is. But what we need to do first and foremost is turn the computer off, disconnect this, and then we can actually look at upgrading it and taking off this top part. Now, with the upgrade kit, they do give you kind of all of the screws that you're going to need. They give you an Allen key, so we will use that. Now, anyone who's got one of these kits or one of these AIOs will know that generally it comes with, if I remember rightly, the black top as well as the white top. So you can actually change it over just to kind of suit your build a little bit. So it already had the functionality of removing this top. So let's take that off using the 4 Allen key bolts. So if we take this off, we could always change it over to the white one, which I'm sure people have done. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be sitting in the box. But the whole point of this was, yeah, they knew this product was coming. They knew that it was going to offer something a little bit different. And as you know, I love things being a little bit different. But if we take that off, we can then disconnect this. I mean, it's really that simple. Unplug this from here, and that is basically our Elite Capellix LED module block, whatever you want to call it. It's got exactly the same connector as here. So once you've taken the top off of this, the first thing you're going to notice is that even though this bit is in 2 parts, you have the top plate and then the LED plate, together it's actually a lot slimmer than the LCD upgrade kit. Now, Corsair have actually kind of got around that, because you will notice on here, where it's got the 4 screws that you can easily get to, on this one, you can't. And I think if they did actually have the screws there, it would look quite unsightly. So what we're going to need is a screwdriver. So we've got the handy dandy eTeknix toolkit, available on store.eteknix.com. Shameless plug, I know, but you know, we've got bills to pay. And what you have to do is actually screw these in to these 4 standoffs, which just kind of raise the profile a little bit. And you'll see exactly why that's important, because on the other block, on the LCD upgrade kit, it's actually, by the looks of it, magnetic. So it needs something to kind of, I guess, cling on to a certain degree. So once you've screwed these in, you will notice, obviously, there is just a single connector that we had before on the existing one. And you can see that just there. So you can only really put it one way, and you will see the 4 magnets on there, which just kind of sit on over the screws. Now, once you do that, it will just kind of click into place and away you go. Now you can then look at connecting everything up to your Commander Pro, which comes with the Elite Capellix kits anyway. We can plug the fan into there, and you will actually have to update to the latest version of iCUE, which you can get on Corsair's website. At the time of filming this, we did have to get kind of a preemptive one. And it does actually come with this Y-splitter cable, so we figured out what this does. This is actually because you have the one cable coming from the actual block itself, which you will need to plug in there. It's just a standard USB with the kind of missing pin. And if we take this through, you've also got the USB that we had plugged in from the Commander itself. So again, we plug that into there. I mean, you don't have to use this if, like you've got with our motherboard here, if you've got 2 USBs, you might just want to use that. But one of them may actually be in use from the front panel of your system or whatever. So with that in mind, we can now look to turn the PC, turn the test bench on. And in theory, we should get a nice looking screen. Corsair logo with the white around it. And then straight away we can see our liquid temperature. Obviously we're not really doing anything with it. This is more just for aesthetics, but it is showing us 24 degrees. Now, if we actually hook up a monitor, which we've got over here, keyboard and mouse and that, I can actually go through some of the settings on here and we can kind of see exactly what we can do on this screen. So in typical kind of breakfast TV cooking shows, here's one I made earlier. So you can see exactly what it will look like inside a rig. This is actually my kind of temporary rig. I say temporary, I've had it for about 6 months now, but I wanted to show you what it would actually look like instead of just on the desk, because then you can actually appreciate kind of how good it really looks. So let's bring you a little bit closer. We'll turn the system on. You can kind of see what it does by default, and then we can look at the iCUE software, which there is an update, which is kind of coming in conjunction with this product, as well as the fully fledged AIO that comes with it as standard. So you will need to update to that. You will need to make sure that your Commander core is also updated on the firmware as well to get the very best kind of functionality out of it. So let's bring you in closer and show you exactly what it's all about. So as I mentioned, I wanted to show you exactly what it looks like when we turn it on. So with the press of a button, you'll be able to see exactly kind of what happens as default. So again, with kind of the typical Corsair styling at the moment, there's the triangles, you get that on the screen, but gives you a kind of first glimpse of the quality. Comes up with the Corsair logo, and then I guess by default it comes up with the liquid temperature, and you do get this kind of addressable RGB just cycling around. Got to admit, very, very similar to what you'd expect to see from the likes of NZXT, but obviously addressable RGB is the way forward, and there's only so many ways of really going about doing it. Now, compared to NZXT and other, I guess, screen-based AIOs, I've got to admit, the quality of the screen being an IPS screen, and I believe, like I mentioned, it's 2.1 inch, it just looked crystal clear. It's like as good as what a monitor screen would be. So let me just open up iCUE and I can sort of go through some of the different patterns, some of the different things that you can actually do on here to really sort of customize it and make it your own. So this is what the updated version of iCUE actually looks like. So this is version 4.16.194. It has changed a little bit, and I'd say for the better. It does look quite simple. You can obviously do scenes, you can see sort of sensors straight off of your graphics card, processor, that kind of thing, how much load you're actually putting through your processor. Then in typical kind of iCUE fashion, you get all of the devices that you've got hooked up to it. And straight away you'll see our H150i Elite Capellix, which is the one that we had in this system kind of, already built, and we just changed it over. And you can see that you can kind of get to the main things here. If we actually click on it, we get a lighting setup where you can essentially kind of get it to run a wizard, which can do everything automatically in, finding what fans or what's connected to the Commander. You've also got the ring, which is basically the bit that goes around the edge. So you can change that to various different things if you want. So we can have watercolor, and you'll see it's pretty much nigh on instantaneous from when I click on it to actually it changing on the screen. So pretty impressive there. That's just for the ring part of it. So if you can imagine, this is actually made up of 2 parts. You've got the ring on the outside and then the screen on the inside. Hardware lighting is if you're not connected to iCUE, you're not actually running it, kind of what it will do as default. So obviously it's set to spiral rainbow. So straight away you can see we're set to CPU temp as well. If we click on screen setup, that's where we can control everything from here. So we do have presets. So we can do concentric, which is a little bit trippy, I will admit, but it does, again, just, you know, keep us in line with kind of what's going on with the sensor. We can then change that to, instead of temp, we can have it as pump. And we can see the RPM of our pump. I've got to admit, that does look very, very psychedelic. Again, if we wanted to stick with pump, but maybe wanted to change the effect, then we can go to single bar, we can have fade fill, we can do monitor, which is what it was on a standard. Image and GIF, so you can actually upload your own thing. So if you really wanted, you could have a wonderful picture of my face on there or something like that. Aperture, again, quite a few of these are psychedelic. I don't know whoever designed this at Corsair, potentially what drugs they were taking at the time, but clearly there's something going on. Dynamic bar, so I'm guessing this is actually going to fill up as things maybe potentially, you know, as the temperature goes up, this will maybe come round a little bit. Pattern fill, dual bar, so you actually get that kind of, you know, I guess highs and averages. And then you could just have it blank if you just wanted something like that. So there's quite a lot you can actually do. I mean, some of them maybe not to my taste, but some of them actually look pretty cool. I quite like the fade fill and potentially even the default, the monitor. But like I say, you can change this to Dram Frequency. So right now I've got 3600 megahertz of Dominator Platinum in there. As you can see, it's running at 1800 megahertz DDR, so 3600. I can change it to pretty much anything. I mean, I could have my vCPU, I could have my CAS latency, so it's set to CAS latency 18. You can then configure it a little bit more. So even the background, if I didn't want it that color, I can change it to all these different colors. And obviously you get that whole spectrum of color as well. You can change the label color to something, you know, a bit more kind of garish, and then the data color as well. You can set the minimum and maximum values. You really do get kind of free reign over kind of every element that you see on the screen, from the data that's displayed, the colors, and even the ring colors as well. Then further on in kind of iCUE, you've got hardware screen, so you're now modifying the hardware screen. This again is a bit like the hardware lighting. So when iCUE's not open, what do you want it to do? And like I say, you can do images, you can do GIFs, or you can set the default and go from there. Then cooling, I mean, I don't want to go too much through the whole iCUE thing. It's more about obviously the LCD upgrade, but just to show you, you know, you do still get all the data and the information that you need from your sensors and things like that as well. Alerts, so you can have it do emergency shutdown, and then obviously your device settings where you can do checking for updates, even, you know, configuring the brightness of it and everything. If you don't like that outer ring, then you've got the LCD screen brightness, so you can sort of, you know, have that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So before I do end it there, I do kind of feel like it would be a little bit unfair if we didn't see an image or a GIF on here. So I know it's what people are going to want. So I think it's kind of only fair that we end up putting my picture on there, which once you put it in, you can actually see, you can kind of move it about. We do need to scale it down a little bit because apparently my head is too big. But that is beautiful, guys. I mean, you have to agree, that looks amazing. I do kind of feel like Corsair need to ship this product with that as default. Just my opinion. My opinion is clearly all that matters, but that is exactly what I think should be happening. So the LCD upgrade kit. Essentially, there is two parts to this product. There is buying the Elite Capellix LCD, which is the fully fledged AIO that comes with this as standard. But the main point of this video is I wanted to show you that Corsair have been listening to people. They have sort of, you know, listened to their consumers, their customers who have said, NZXT have this, Asus have this. Why haven't you brought out anything? Why are you not at the forefront of this industry of bringing out something that has a screen on it without alienating an audience that has already potentially, you know, invested money into a product like one of the original Elite Capellix AIOs, like the H170i that I showed you earlier, like the H150i that we've got inside here. Obviously, the main gripe that I'm going to have is that my face is not on it by default. I do feel that that is a really strong contender as a default theme for this, and I'm going to reach out to Corsair and see if it could be made to happen. But I don't know, let me know in the comments section below if you think my face should be on these LCD screens by default. If we get enough people, then I'm sure Corsair will do absolutely nothing, but you know, all in the name of fun and games. Other than that, the thing I want to talk about is pricing. So this LCD upgrade kit is coming in at $99.99 MSRP dollars. I haven't been told what the local pricing is in pounds yet, but you could probably hazard a guess it's going to be about 90 to 100 pounds once you do the conversion, add VAT, and away you go. It's not too bad in my opinion. Normally I would look at how much the actual product is with the kit and everything as standard, the new ones with the LCD upgrade already as part of it, and compare it to the existing ones. The problem is the existing ones have already been out for quite some time, so it's always hard to compare something that is potentially on sale because a new product has come out and try and sort of see what that gap is. But to be fair, I think $100 for what you're actually getting, especially when you look at the quality of the screen, I think it's definitely worth the money. And I didn't really want this video to come off as like a review. It was more of, let me show you what this is and let me show you how easy it is to install it and configure it. I'm going to sort of tell you right now, off video, we had a few niggly little problems. Mainly it came down to the software, which I think anyone who's ever used any RGB software will be able to sympathize. In my opinion, iCUE is probably one of the better ones out there. I mean, we all know how bad RGB Fusion is, Mystic Light or Gamer Dragon or whatever MSI are calling it these days, Asus and Aurosync. iCUE at least works. It just has a few little niggly issues here and there, but updates are, you know, forthcoming, so it's not too bad. So there we have it. That's pretty much what I wanted to show you guys today. A little bit of a different video, as I kind of normally say in every video, but there you go. But hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, you know exactly what to do. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.